Action. All right, can everybody hear me in the back? Is that good? All right, so for those that don't know me, my name is Scott Seagraves, and I am the owner-operator of My Barbershop and Shaving Club at 220 West Grand on the corner of Grand and Pine. You cannot miss it. I hope not anyway. Is there anybody else in here in the hair industry? Excellent, so I won't hurt no feelings. I'm sorry. So anyway, I've been in Ponca City for 3 years now. I've been actually working for 2.5 years here. And both those 2.5 years have been in a barber shop. And my barber shop has been open for just over 1.5 years. Got started with the shop because of the other shop I was in didn't work out. And we had, everybody is familiar on Facebook and social media. They will know me from there for the last couple of years. I am that guy that stirs all the controversy in town with, I don't allow women in my barbershop other than moms. Moms are more than welcome to bring their boys in. But it's a unique barbershop in that aspect. It gives something just a little bit different than your average barbershop. And the reason why I do that is so that it gives the men of the community a place to call their own, and gives them a different experience, a little bit of a nostalgia experience, if you will. I like the idea of having that barbershop, that hometown feel with a little bit of flair. And so if you're used to hearing about some of the other barbershops, Barney's, there's the aftershave. Not that I'm promoting them right now. I'm promoting myself. But barbershops for everywhere, and that are just your normal everyday barbershops. I won't say average, but they're what you think of a barbershop. I like to go back a little bit further. I'm an old soul. And so when I got into being a barber, was getting ready to retire from the Army. I am retired Army after 28 years in the military. And I was looking for something to supplement my retirement pay. I knew I couldn't live off of that alone. So after looking at some things on what to do when I retired, especially since I retired late, I didn't want to get into anything that I had just experienced, such as being in a uniform or being by anybody else's standard. Not that I wanted to own my own business, necessarily. So I started looking at different things and just all kinds of things that would give me the freedom that I didn't have to worry about planning my vacation. I don't have to plan my 4-day weekends. If I want to take off, I'll take off. And I'll take off, and some of my clients are in here, and they'll tell you, you drive by the barbershop, I'm not there, it's probably because I decided to take a day off, and I can do that. And that's one of the great things about owning my own business. So anyway, I just stumbled upon being a barber and the idea of it. I was actually looking for a barbershop that was an old school barbershop to cut my hair the way I want. I have a little bit of a rockabilly flair. I started growing my hair out and was wearing a classic style cut. And that's how I stumbled upon the Old Town Barber College up in Wichita. And so I found a couple other barbershops that I actually model myself after to this day. One of them is a guy named Donnie Holly out in California. If anybody's ever seen or heard of Layrite hair products, he is the proprietor of that, and he has that style of barbershop. Of course, they wear like old 1920s style clothes, and no women are allowed in his barbershop, or no wives or girlfriends. I'll just put it that way. And then another one is a group, a barbershop out of Holland called Skroem, which means scumbags, and they also have a product out called Ruzel. Really good products. I don't use them, but those are the type of barbershops I kind of model myself after. That old school, that guy's place where a guy can go and be a guy and not have to worry about his wife or girlfriend telling me how to cut their hair, okay? A man should be able to take care of himself and get away from the misunderstood child thing where women might think that they have to take care of the guy. And so it's a place they can come and be a man. So when I seen this place, I started thinking, I was like, that's the kind of barbershop I want to go to. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just build my own? And so that's when I started looking at what it took to become a barber and decided that I was going to go to barber school. We're from Wichita. I grew up and was raised in Wichita. And when we retired from the Army, we went back to Wichita for a few years. I went to school, got recruited into one of the top tier barber shops. And yes, they are tiered in how well they do, whether you're just on the corner or in the back alley, or if you're well known. DeVille's Barbershop up in Wichita is where I started at. I cut there for 2 years, and in Wichita, they were the top 3 in Wichita, top 5 in the state of Kansas. Very high tier. They bring in a lot of clients, a lot of money. It's an old school style shop. Me, the owner, and one other guy were bikers. We, all rode motorcycles and stuff. So that's the kind of flair it had. He even had it painted in Harley Davidson colors, black and orange. It was pretty cool. We decided to move down here a few years ago. Both my wife and I both have experience with Ponca City. My little brother's family is from here, which is how we ended up in this area. And we both always liked Ponca City, and so we wanted to scale down a little bit and get out of the big city. And so we moved down here, like I said, 3 years ago, and I was still commuting back and forth to Wichita every day. I figured, guys at Spirit can do it, I can do it. And after about 8 months, I was like, no, I can't. And so, excuse me. And so that's how I started looking at, I was like, I got to do something different. This ain't working. At that time, even, I didn't want to own my own barbershop. I decided I didn't want the hassle. Being a booth renter or a chair renter at the time, I was still subcontracting and technically, so I could still do what I wanted. And so we decided when we moved down here, like I said, after about 8 months, it was time to do something else. And so luckily, a friend of a friend linked me up with the gentleman that opened up King's Cuts, if everybody remembers King's Cuts from a couple years ago. And basically, I was the talent, and so I jumped right in it. It was either that or go cut at Walmart, or even, I'd even talked to Barney to go cut there, but I would have been taking a serious pay cut and a serious clientele cut, and I couldn't do that. There is absolutely, when we started over at King's Cuts, there was absolutely no reason not to charge what we charged. If you're gonna pay $80 for a pair of Nikes for your kid, no reason why you can't pay $20 for a good haircut. And not just a good haircut, but it's my goal to produce a product that is beyond excellent. And so anyway, that was great and fine until it was time to move on. And when I had to go, and so decided might as well just do my own thing and open up my barbershop. And that's why it's called My Barbershop, for, well, 2 reasons. One, because it's mine. It's finally my shop, my business, but at the same time, it's also called My Barbershop because I want my clients to connect to it personally. And so when someone says, hey, where do you get your hair cut? And they say, My Barbershop. Oh, okay, cool. Where's your barbershop? Well, it's called My Barbershop, and it's on the corner of Grand. And it becomes their personal place where they can come, and if they want, not only get a good, not just a good, but an excellent haircut, but they can come and hang out. I got a pool table in there. I have adult beverages for my friends that if they want to hang out, I share with them. I'll put it that way in case the Able Commission sees this. But regardless, it's a place for a guy that can come and be a guy. I remember when I was a kid visiting my grandpa in Arkansas, really small itty bitty town, like actually had a town square. The town was built around a fountain in the middle of the town. And he would go to the barbershop on Sundays and play dominoes. And we would go hang out with him and go play at the park, and then he'd come get us when he was done playing dominoes. Well, I'm getting to that age now to where now it's time for me to be able to kick back and play dominoes. And so I never want to get rid of or be not involved with the barbershop. So that's why my goals now are to fill up my shop with several different barbers. And then at one point to even remove myself away from the cutting scene and just be in the presence of the barbershop itself. I always want that atmosphere, no matter what. Whether I go on vacation or a long weekend, I come back to that environment, right? And that environment will always be set up the exact same way. It will always be established. It's that remnants of the 50s, of the 40s and 50s. Reason being that is because after that, that's when the barbershop started going away. And thanks to the Beatles, all right? And then in the late 90s, thanks to the hipsters, barbershop started coming back. And so I like that remnants of the 40s and 50s. You know, I'm a greaser. I love rockabilly, and I love that atmosphere. So I decided that that's also what I was going to specialize in. I like the old classic style cuts, the comb overs. And we're not talking about the comb overs to cover bald heads, okay? I have several clients that are thin on top, and when I offer them a... But when they come in and they get that, you know, I suggest to them that, yeah, it will cover up that bald spot, but at the same time, the way I cut it will actually take the viewer's eye away from that and focus it on that new school flair of maybe a bald fade or a low bald fade or a really tight taper or something like that. And then I have several clients that I've actually got into the greaser scene and view, and they get them old school 50s pompadours like, you know, you see on the movie Grease and things of that nature, the Fonzarelli. And but those classic cuts is what I like to do, and so I specialize in them. However, at the same time, I also realize that this is 2021, and a lot of guys are more to the urban or the big city look. And so if it's a standard bald fade, I can do those too. Not saying I'm the best guy that can do it, but I have yet to be told that I couldn't. And so nobody's ever complained. And I fix a lot of people's hair from a lot of different places. I'm not putting down any other hair person in the industry, but there's nobody in town that I haven't had to fix their haircut. I wouldn't say I'm the best barber or as far as cutting, but I know I'm the best barber as far as the barbershop. And that's what I want to be. Anything I do, I have to be the best at it. And as long as I'm moving toward that and working on that, then I'm okay with that, whether I am or not. Because I'm also pretty, realistic, and I know there's always somebody better out there than me, but you're not going to find them. And that's just how I work. My next goal that I plan on for the barbershop is eventually, everybody knows Barney's Barbershop. Nothing against Barney. I actually like Barney. He's actually a really cool guy. He was going to help me out when I first moved down here. I talk to him all the time. He actually sends clients to me. Why? Because I do straight razor shaves, that old school, nostalgic straight razor shave. Hot towel, lather, and slick, and you're done. And so Barney doesn't do that, and so he sends those guys to me, which I really appreciate. And then I have clients that can't afford my prices, and so I send them over to Barney because maybe they're on a tight budget and they just don't know what my prices are. So Barney and I we network, and that's what I really appreciate about him. But eventually, everybody knows Barney is that hometown barber. He's been here for 120 years. No, I'm kidding. But he's been here for a long time, and so when people think of a barbershop in Ponca City, they think of Barney's. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But eventually, Barney has to go on to bigger and better things, and that's what I'm waiting on. And so he holds a niche within the community and within the hair industry in the community. I want that niche, and so when he decides that he's finally done, I want to pick. Excuse me. I want to pick up those clients. I want that niche. I want to be, when you think of who's the barbershop, where's the barbershop in Ponca City, everybody says, my barbershop, corner of Pine and Grand. That's my end goal, Whether I'm cutting at the time, whether I'm 80 years old, I will be in the barber shop playing dominoes or spades and giving young guys a hard time. I want to be that guy. You know, I want to pull up on my chopper and just sit back and chill and have 4 or 5 barbers in my barbershop cutting. And I want to be that guy when it comes in, that everybody knows who I am, and be a part of the community. I love the idea of this community. I want to make that perfectly clear. I know that there's a lot of controversy with how I operate, but man, the way this community has reached out and given me the opportunity to be here, I want to return that tenfold, you know. So I have programs within the barbershop, you know, that I try and do. You know, we're getting ready. Last year or over the summer, we did a few fundraisers in coalition with Eye Candy, and did hot rod show and a bike show, and we're getting ready to do a turkey drop for Thanksgiving. Going to do a Christmas drop in conjunction with one of the motorcycle clubs here in town, and do a toy run. And so I want to give back to the community, and I want to be part of the community, not just part of it. I want to be a prominent member of the community. You know, why not? You know what I'm saying? And so at the same time, I want people from Oklahoma City and Tulsa and Wichita. I want to be a Mecca style barbershop. The barbershop I mentioned earlier that I model myself after in Europe, they have guys from all over Europe come, and they will take a whole weekend vacation just to go to that barbershop and sit outside that barbershop to get in. And that's what I want. I want guys lined up around the corner. I want Subway to complain because my line is too long. You know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I'm okay with that. As long as I continue to strive for that. You know, I'm not the person that's going to get all disappointed and heartbroken if it doesn't happen. As long as I continue to strive for that. No, again, I don't exclude anybody, really, technically. I just have a preference for who comes to the barbershop and what the barbershop is for. And unfortunately, it's not for everybody, but there's other places for you if you can't get into my shop. But other than that, like I said, my name is Scott Seagraves, and I own and operate my barbershop and shave club, corner of Pine and Grand. So, is there any questions I can answer for you? Yes, ma'am. Do I take appointments? No, I don't take appointments. I am a walk-in only barbershop. The reason why is that I've tried that. And the one day that I finally had a full day booked up completely, I lost $200. The reason being is I would have clients that would come in as walk-ins, and they would come in like 5-10 minutes prior to an appointment, right? Well, if I have that appointment set up, I'm the type of person, if I tell you I'm going to take care of you at this time, I'm going to take care of you at this time, and I'm going to push off that other person because I've made a commitment to this person, and so that's $20 I just lost. And then this guy don't show up for the appointment, that's $40 I've just lost, right? And that happened several times throughout that day that I had a full day of appointments. And so I just reverted back to the last shop I worked in up in Wichita. It was walk-in only. But I tried it, and it's not for me. So no, I do walk-ins only. Yes, ma'am.
What are your hours of operation?
What are my hours? My hours are right now, in addition to what all the other rambling I just did, is I am also going back to school to become a master barber. So I'm taking the barber program, the teacher program at Ponca City Beauty College. And so right now my hours are 1 to 6 because I have to be in school all day Monday. And then Tuesday through Friday, I'm in school from 8 to 12 so that I can teach over there for the required amount of hours, and then I'll get my instructor's license, and then I'll be a master barber. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. And so 1 to 6, and then Saturday is a full day, which is 10 to 4. And during the winter, I'm pretty much there every Saturday. During the summer is riding season. I do ride, and so every other Saturday I'm probably gone. And that's okay, I'm sorry, but I have to ride. It's important. It soothes the soul. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When did you know you wanted to be a barber?
When did I know I wanted to be a barber? When I got to barber school. Like I said, when I retired from the Army, I used to be a cop. I didn't want to get back into law enforcement. I was a cop in the Air National Guard full-time at McConnell. I've been into construction. I've done corrections at the prison in El Dorado, construction, security, warehouse sales. I've bounced and done a lot of different things. And when I went back in the active Army and like I said, when I retired, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I found that barbering was an option, and so I gave it a shot. You know, with everybody asking, wondering if I can make money being a barber. Unfortunately, I mean, any person in the hair industry will tell you it's feast or famine. There are certain times of the year that are really good, like coming up for Thanksgiving. I was just explaining to these guys, but then after New Year's, it tanks and you might want to get a second job. But there's different times of the year. But I didn't know until I got into school. It's something I wanted to try. Did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos. I found those barbershops and those barbers that at least somehow looked like me, or at least, looked how I felt, as far as the rockabilly scene, or that old school biker scene, however you want to call it. And so after I got into school, and the first day on the floor cutting, I mean, most schools, well, pretty much all schools are working schools, so you actually cut in school. So any ladies or anything, if y'all really need something, hey, go to Ponca City Beauty College and kind of help us out with clients. But anyway, I have to plug it. I'm working there now. But it was after that first day that my first haircut took almost 2 hours. I thought maybe it wasn't for me, but then I started figuring out what I was doing and got better and better. And even after I got into my first shop, the first 2 months, even though I was recruited, I was waiting on my chair to open up. I went to a salon and helped the owner there build a barber section, if you will. And every other day I went home with a big goose egg. Like, I wasn't making no money, and it was rough. And even that kind of like, man, even my wife was like, yeah, I told you couldn't make no money being a barber, and it was rough. But once I got into DeVille's, into a top tier shop, and that first day I made $400, yeah, I was pretty happy. I was like, yeah, this is the right choice for me. And then when I could take off and just tell everybody, screw it, I'm taking off. I'm like, oh no, I'm like, sorry, I gotta go. Then I realized that, yeah, I like doing this, and that's what I want to do. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Do you have other barbers now?
Do I have other barbers in the shop? No, not right now. I do not. I've put out.
I mean, in case I decide I want to be one, I need to know.
Well, unfortunately, not in my shop. You couldn't, because I can't have women barbers because it's a man's shop, and so I want to employ only men. I can't really say it that way; it might get me in trouble. It's better for the environment for just to be guy barbers. But no, I don't have any other barbers in there currently. I have reached a point as far as clientele that I can share and kind of take a little bit of that pressure off of me, because there's days in the summer that especially these guys that tell you that you'll sit in my shop for 2 hours waiting to get in a chair. And that's not fair to my clients. It's good for me. I can just sit there and cut all day, every day, nonstop, but it's not fair to my clients. I don't want that for them. Some guys I have a couple of clients that are prominent businessmen, excuse me, and so they need to get in and out. I get that. And so I lose clients by not being able to get them in the chair as quick. Not that they don't like the way I cut or somebody that can cut better than me, but there's somebody out there that can get them in the chair faster. So I have put out, wanted to need another barber. Unfortunately, there are no other barbers in town available. There's only 3 or 4 others that are already employed, and they're women. There are no guy barbers in this town other than myself and Barney right now. Those that are not they're either not licensed or they're cosmetologists. I wouldn't mind. I would have no problem taking a Cosmo, but it would have to be a guy. But those guys, I would suspect that the only other reason that I haven't gotten anybody in there is that they're intimidated by working in my shop. Because either the controversy or because of the pressure and the status. That's just my take on it. However, there are, I have 6 students right now, getting ready to be 7 students at the school in the barber program, and I've already recruited 1 for definite and possibly a second one. And a couple of them have asked me if I would employ them in my shop, and I haven't given them an answer yet because I don't know where their skill level is. They just basically just started, and so it'll be 6 months before I decide whether or not I want them in my shop. Because if I bring somebody into the shop, I have to make sure that they can at least produce the same quality of product that I do. And I'm not bragging on myself, but I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I put out a high quality product, and so I would expect that from any of my barbers that come in, and so it's coming, and like I said, I'm headhunting. A couple of those guys want to go out and do their own thing. I get it, that's cool. I really don't want them in my shop anyway. But no, they're good guys, and they're going to be excellent haircutters, excellent barbers. But so it's coming, and eventually I would say within the next year, my goal is to have at least 2 more, and in the next 18 months to have 2 more after that. So I'm looking at, like I said, putting at least 4 barbers in the shop. Does that answer your question? Excellent. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have enough room in your shop?
Oh, yes.
I've never been inside.
Yeah. Yes, I do actually. I have.
Add 4 or 5 chairs because I've seen
The-
barber shops are kind of tight.
Yeah. What's the square footage on that? It's like.
You got about near 3,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I have a room. I could actually probably put 8 cutting stations in there. Cause when it comes down to it, like especially if this was a bigger town with a bigger market, I could take the pool table out. I could take the bar out. I could take the lounge out, and I could fill that whole building with probably 10 good stations with plenty of room. And I would be able to put all the clients in the middle for seating. But yeah, definitely have plenty of room. So
There was a tax service before that, and I think they had 12 people with desks in this building. So they had quite a few people coming and going. But anyway,
yeah, Robert's my landlord.
well, no, Tony owns the building.
He-
Makes me.
He's my realtor, my manager, my property manager. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What can our community do to support you?
Send all your husbands, boyfriends, lovers, kids, sons, any kid over 5, and send them to my barbershop. When I have events, I plan on, especially during the winter, when I have actual time more time to devote to that, and they're just cooler, sometimes nicer events as far as like a turkey drop for Thanksgiving, toy drops for the toy run in December. Just come out, have a beer, have a cup of coffee. ladies are more than welcome. You know, if you wanted to stop by, and I've had this, you know, like, hey, I just wanted to check out your shop. By all means, you know, my clients, we get crazy in there sometimes. It's fun. You know, I try and produce a fun environment. But when moms are in there, for instance, with their sons, if dad's not available, that's the catch. If dad's not available for whatever reason, but by all means, you're more than welcome to stop by. Hey, I just want to check out your shop. Sure, come in. We watch our P's and Q's. We're not animals. That's not the point of the shop. We become gentlemen again. I insist on it. If some of the guys, I've had moms in there that have come in with their sons and have drank a beer with us, and that's cool. And we watch our P's and Q's. We know when there's a lady in there that we act like gentlemen. When you leave, we get crazy again. And we have some wild conversations, but that's the point of it, you know, is a gentleman's environment, a guy's environment. If you drop your son off, if they're under 10, I charge a babysitting fee. No, I'm kidding, I don't. Just don't do it. But yeah, they might learn a dirty joke, but it'll be a clean, fun, dirty joke. Nothing crazy. I'm kidding. So yeah, just come on by, you know, stop by. If you see there, at least once a month, someone posts on Facebook asking where to get the haircut in Ponca City, right? And there are a few haters out there that my posts have been gotten deleted. And so if you're, you know, just type in there. If you see those on there, just throw out there, hey, go check out my barbershop. And if you don't believe me, send your husband my way, because I guarantee he'll come home and you'll be amazed. Does that answer your question?
Also had a Main Street event there.
Yes, the Main Street organization asked me to host their event, their mixer last month, and that was excellent. We got that parking lot. We got a parking lot that it's a huge parking lot, and it's pretty much, there's only one other business I don't know, it's just an office building, and he just stops in there for like 30 minutes a day, if that, you know, so we got that whole parking lot. The guy next door asked me to let him, so I do share it with the guy next door for his deliveries, which ain't no big deal. But I try and keep that parking lot clear for my clients. I've had almost a drag out fight with someone because they wanted to be rude whenever I ask anybody to kind of, you know, hey, this is how I do it, if you don't mind. I'm always nice. I'm nice until it's time not to be nice. I am a professional. You know, I come from a background that if you're not a professional, then you don't work and then you don't get paid and you go to jail. So I am a professional, and I've asked people, hey, don't park in my parking lot, or can you move? You know, I've had fire department when they weren't used to anybody being there. I've asked EMS. Guys will come in there with big, huge trailers, and I'm like, hey, can you know, you're blocking my parking. And they get stupid, and so I kind of get stupid too. So it's just how I am. Get stupid with me, I get stupid with you. But the parking lot. So yeah, I mean, if you think that a barber shop would be a cool backdrop for an event, hit me up. I ain't gonna charge you for it. I just want the attention. We got. I say we, but because just mainly me. But they did a movie here, a movie clip here a couple of months ago, and used my barbershop as a backdrop. It's a docu-series type thing for small town Main Street or something like that. And they used my barbershop. My grandson was in it. And so by all means, if you got an event that you need a parking lot or anything like that, or even inside, if you think for whatever reason the barbershop would be a good backdrop, hit me up. I got no problem. I'd be happy to let you use it, you know. So definitely just put the word out, you know, and don't be haters. I got haters out there, believe it or not, but that's okay, because I'm still here. Does that answer your question? Excellent. Any other questions? 3, 2, 1, no? All right. Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.